Hey guys, my name's Big Tino and welcome back to From the Depths. Now, in the last video, we lost pretty hard to a pretty substantial White Flayers fleet. Unfortunately, after that battle ended, the game glitched. For some reason, the Kraglin Orm here, it remained at about 10% health when the battle ended, and I couldn't pull it out or repair it or anything like that. The White Flare ship stayed spawned in. And when I tried to save the game, it gave me some error message saying that something had happened and I couldn't save the game. So that was lost. And I hate that. I hate that because I like to play games in Iron Man mode. I don't like saving and loading when I lose something. I like to roll with the punches and that sort of thing. So I hate that I lost that loss, especially because I could have then just gotten my resources back and rebuilt the Kraglin Orm. But I am going to take that as a learning experience and move on. So I've made a few adjustments to the Kraglin Orm. One thing I saw in the battle with the White Flayers was that the turret caps were kind of a weak point. They were able to sort of just dig through the turret caps and blow up the turrets, causing a big explosion to go down through. Now these are separated enough where they don't blow up anything else when they blow up, but they do blow up. Which means that if they do tunnel through and blow up the turret, it's not going to be repaired in the fight. There's just too much there to repair. So what I've done is I've reinforced it with some heavy armor so that it's a lot tougher to crack. I've also decreased the range of the laser munition defense systems so that they'll be a lot more effective and energy efficient. So thank you so much for that suggestion. It was a really, really good one. Now, those are good changes and big improvements, but not particularly noticeable changes. What I did change, though, is I have gone ahead and I have made a Rock 2.0. As you can see, this is a good bit different than the original Rock. All of the non-decorative wood has been replaced with light metal alloy. The armor has been significantly reinforced. I've added a simple shielding system, a simple laser munition defense system, and because of that I have had to add a pretty large generator, or fuel engine. Two of them, in fact. I've replaced the front with another fuel engine. So it's a good bit sturdier in that regard. I've also replaced the cram cannons with torpedo launchers. These are 5-tile-long torpedoes, and they just dump them into the water. Now, this thing doesn't have enough ammo to do that continuously, but it can do about 3, maybe 4 volleys of these torpedoes before it runs out of ammo. And of course the guns load enough ammo in their clips to where that they don't really need to keep loading more ammo throughout the fight. So that's not really a big concern. So this thing has a pretty devastating alpha strike now, because that's a lot of torpedoes. And that puts on a lot of hurt to the enemy. So this thing is a good bit hardier. It has a much more devastating alpha strike now, and hopefully with 2 of these, because I do have 2 of these, I've upgraded both of my rocks to Rock 2.0s. With 2 of these supporting the Kraglin Orm, hopefully we'll be able to beat that Strength 150 White Flayers fleet. But we'll see. We'll see. We might still lose. That's entirely possible. Each of these is now at a cost of about 240,000, so I did pretty much double their cost. And the Kraglin Orm itself is about 440. So if we're going by what the fleet was last time, that's still about half the strength of the fleet that they send against us. But I do just want to see how we do. Now, once we get to these strength 250 garrisons, I am going to have to do some other things, like probably just bite the bullet and build a second Kraglin Orm to help deal with that. But I want to see how we do against these Strength 150s now that we're a bit more reinforced. So let's go to Diplomacy, and let's once again declare war on the White Flayers. Let's move ourselves in there. Another thing I've done is, because I strengthened the engine so much on the Rock 2.0, I did add a whole lot of fuel storage to it, so it actually can last a good bit longer without being resupplied with fuel. So that it does not need a pack mule in the fight with it. It'll just need a pack mule sitting around for after the fight. Looks like we're kind of hitting the White Flayers where they're strongest. It looks like they have some weaker tiles maybe up here. But my goal... My goal might be to try to take this resource deposit, but we'll just see how strong those Strength 250 fleets are. Okay. What have they got? Looks like several smaller ships this time, plus a Gymnura? I don't even know what that word means. Zealots, a Dissector, a whole bunch of those little martyrs. Hopefully we can shoot those down before they, you know, detonate their nukes on us. Yeah, a bunch of little things this time, which is actually good for us, because I think this is going to be a much weaker fleet than what we faced last time, which was an insanely powerful fleet with a strength of about 2 million resource behind it. This looks like we might be just about even. In fact, we have the volume count way, way over them, but I think in terms of cost, we're probably about the same. Yeah, the Zealot is pretty small, but it's 118,000 materials. An Earthraker. Yeah. Yeah, alright, so let's just see how we do. I'll be on the Kraglin Orb, because while I did increase the armor and defense of the Rock, I still worry that the cabin is very vulnerable. So let's have those guys out at a little bit of a distance. Let's go ahead and start this fight. We'll see how we do. I did save before this fight as well, so that if for whatever reason it does glitch out and I can't save the game again, I won't have to fight through the Onyx Watch again, which I did have to do off camera. Which sucked, but, you know. Okay, wow, that's an impressive looking fleet. Let's pause the game and see what they're coming at us with. I've never seen this Gymnura thing before, but oh my god. That is awesome. Is this a new design? Or have I just never fought it before? This is incredible. I have never seen such a cool ship in this game. I absolutely adore that. Oh man, just the swept wings, and I'm guessing, yep, no, these are actually some pretty powerful autocannons, it looks like. Yeah, wow, holy crap. This is a proper fleet they're putting against us. And it looks like they're dropping torpedoes as well, or those might just be missiles, kind of hard to tell. I don't think this little fighter here was supposed to spawn inside the Gymnura, but, you know, we'll see. Alright, now this is just a giant block of spikes, which hopefully we can blow up before it gets to us. Another just sort of giant block of spikes. More spikes. Yeah, they definitely are a lot more ram-heavy in this particular fleet. A lot of missiles coming in. Those might be torpedoes, might be regular missiles, not sure. It's a cool little thing. It's got like one of those mine exploders that tanks sometimes have. More martyrs. This little guy. Alright. So we are a bit more evenly matched this time, but I think we're still... I think we might still struggle with it, but let's see. Yeah, a lot of blocks falling off those two flyers up there just because, you know, they spawned in, ramming each other. Hopefully the lag will kind of dissipate once those guys have separated a bit. Oh, I did kind of want to watch the the Rock 2.0's torpedo drop. Oh, yeah, we can still see it. You can see a nice chain of torpedoes dropping in. Pretty devastating volley, and I've tested this a good bit. These torpedoes are pretty close to each other, but they are spread out enough to where they don't blow each other up when, you know, one of them hits the target. Because if they're too close to each other, then what can happen is just, like, the first one in the chain will blow up, and it will just chain detonate all of them. So I you know, tinkered with that until I got the timing of that right. Alright. So that is a lot of torpedoes coming in towards the enemy. Hopefully we can do some damage there. Alright, I think something may have blown up already because we are losing frames pretty hard. It looks like, yeah, it looks like we've blown up one of their smaller flyers. Thankfully, the Kraglenorm seems to be focusing on the Gymnura. It's a cool ship, and I think it probably has a lot of firepower, but I don't think it's going to be able to withstand a full broadside like that. Hey, I leveled up. By the way, in terms of, you know, where I spend my level up points, I don't spend any points on, like, making my ships better or anything. I just dump all of them into Stormtrooper, which makes my own personal guns deal more damage, so that if, you know, I'm trying to capture a vehicle, I can, you know, tear through blocks more easily. Looks like we did a good bit of damage to that flyer. The smaller flyer seems to have been destroyed. Looks like we've done some damage to this, a few hits, but I think it's fast enough to avoid most of what we put against it. Now that could be a problem right there. In fact, I'm going to pause. I did hit the pause button, but I think we're kind of catching up on frames. Ooh, doink. Okay, something is definitely exploding. Like me! I think I just got rammed. I think that ship just drove right into the cockpit of the Kraglenorm. Or the bridge, I guess. Looks like we are doing some good damage to their ships as well. I'm worried about how much damage that spike thing is going to do to the Kraglenorm. Because it does have really good armor, but there's not a lot you can do to protect yourself against ramming vehicles with spikes on them, besides just shoot them before they get to you. So what I probably should have done is shoot that ramming vehicle before it got to me. But, you know, we'll know for next time. And, wow, I have lost so many frames. I think it's probably because the torpedoes and the missiles and everything from the new rocks is just blowing up other ships, and so much stuff is detonating. You can see lots of confetti back there, that we are just absolutely losing frames. Looks like we've taken out one of the wings of the Gymnura. There's another nuclear detonation. There's just a lot going on. And I have twiddled with the settings a bit, so that most of the time this game performs very, very well. I think there's something happening, and it may honestly be the fact that I am getting, you know, the Kraglenorm is getting rammed here, because collisions take a lot of processing power in this game. It looks like it has just kind of settled on top of us. It has taken out one of our turrets. Or it hasn't taken out the turret, but it has just kind of stopped it. Wow. Okay. Lots of... Yeah, it took out one of the turrets. It looks like it just sort of... Oh, here comes something else. Gonna Free Willy dive over us. Nice. I think he missed. Maybe I'll actually teleport to one of the rocks. Maybe that would be a little safer. Okay, yeah, so now that ramming has ended, our frames are doing a lot better. Not great, just because there's so much stuff going on. And the White Flayers definitely have lots of spin blocks, lots of rams, things like that. All right, let's pause. Let's check out the Kraglenorm, see how we're doing. Um, Looks like we took a big hit here from something, but our armor seems to be holding. The other three main guns seem to be in pretty good shape. This one's barrels have been damaged, but it can still shoot. So let's destroy this thing. Let's kill it with fire because I don't want to get hit by that. That looks terrifying. Okay, well, let's just get everybody. Target the Earthraker. I feel like that's a pretty apt name for this thing. I mean, apart from the fact that it's not actually raking the earth, it's raking the water, and we'll soon be raking the Kraglenorm. There was a nuke. Ooh, there was a nuke that hit us. Looks like it did hit us in the center, which is the most heavily reinforced part of the Kraglenorm. So I'm not too worried about that. Alright, full broadside onto the Earthraker. A lot of damage there. I'm seeing a lot of internal explosions. Of course, it's being propelled towards us by sheer momentum at this point, so I'm not sure how much we've helped ourselves. But through all the nukes and explosions and everything, I absolutely cannot see anything past all the smoke. I feel like this is one of those dramatic moments in an old movie where everybody shoots their guns at once, there's a ton of smoke, and we fade to black. Hopefully the good guy wins in this case, because, you know, we are the good guys. There's a reference. Okay. Yeah, I think we have pretty significantly ended the threat of the Earthraker. I think it barely got to us and is just sort of plinking away at our armor at the moment, but I think it is just being destroyed as my munition defense lasers just blast everywhere. Here comes that other ramming vehicle, once again just sort of freewheeling over the Kraglenorm. Looks like whatever this thing is, it was probably wrecked by some torpedoes. Yeah, I don't think this thing is going to be hurting us anymore. Oh, that sounds sad. You can't hurt me anymore. Oh man, I do apologize for the frames. Normally, like even in bigger battles, we don't get this much of a problem. I really do think it is just because of all these ramming vehicles and nukes going off. Oh man, look at the destruction on this thing. The Earthraker, we've blown it clear out of the water, and it is now going to flop on top of us. White Flayers do like getting up close and personal, don't they? I guess that's kind of the point there, the ramming faction, the melee faction. Although it looks like these are the martyrs, and they have nukes, and they can repair each other, which is kind of annoying. It looks like we have lost... Okay, no, we're still at 3 turrets. Very pleased with the armor of these turrets for the most part now. I've seen them take several hits, and they are just, you know, surviving, which is good. Okay, I'm going to pause, and I want to survey what's going on. So, the Earthraker, pretty much gone. It is not too damaged, but it's pretty much out of the fight, I think. Or rather, once we sort of dump it off the back there, it'll be out of the fight. This cool-looking thing, which is the Charger, is definitely still in the fight. It looks like it is a water skimmer because it has those hydrofoils, but it just keeps bouncing up into the air. We may have damaged it in just the right spot for that. This thing, I think, is just being detonated. They have these little flyers here, which we might have a little bit of a problem with, just because we don't have a lot to deal with small, fast flyers, but I'm not too worried about this. It looks like these guys dump missiles, and we have everybody has a good munition defense system. The Gymnura, which, again, really awesome ship. Looks like we've taken a big chunk out of its left wing. But otherwise, well, it's still flying. Now, it is very far from the battlefield. I don't know if it has just a really wide turning radius or if we've damaged it. But it seems to be still in the fight. This little fighter looks like we kind of cut a hole through it. I'm not sure if that took it out of the fight or not. What is over here? This little guy, it looks like there was once a turret here, and now is no more. This guy's fine. I do like when ships have sort of these almost shoulder-mounted machine guns. I think those are really cool looking. This guy, are you a torpedo boat or something? Or we may have just destroyed the weapons. Yeah, it had a turret and we destroyed it. Alright, cool, so that's the enemy. Let's see, this rock looks like it's taken a few hits on the side armor, but it's still doing just fine. The only thing about the Rock 2.0 is that this is a very big engine, and it's very explosive. And so if something does get through all the armor that's surrounding the very big engine, well, I haven't seen it blow up in testing or anything, but I get the feeling it's going to take most of the ship with it. So, you know. And of course the Kraglenorm as kind of the centerpiece of this battle. Everything is sort of swarming around the Kraglenorm, shooting at it. The entire bridge is gone, as was I. That's me, dead. Because that used to be my chair. Looks like the internal rotor blade in the middle is damaged, but there are 4 in the corners of the ship, so it should still be able to get itself above water pretty easily. Lost one of our main guns. Looks like we've lost one of the mortars on the front and one on the back. But the rest of the weapons are still fine. And I think the other rock has not taken any damage at all. Yeah, we're at 95, 99, and 100% health. So, alright, cool. Let's get back to it. Yeah, the Earthraker exploding is going to cause us some frame loss for a bit. Well, we're back up to 15 frames per second, which I suppose I can't complain about too much. Looks like several good hits on the Gymnura back there. Looks like our missiles are managing to get to it, which is good. I was very, very tempted to remove the small missiles from the Rock 2.0, but I'm glad that I didn't. I feel like that's probably our best means of hitting fast flyers. But our main cannons on the Kraglenorm are trying to predict where the enemy is going to be. I have tweaked this thing's detection system pretty extensively, so they might get some hits. But it also looks like a good bit of our detection system has been damaged on this ship. But we still have some of the stuff on the sides, which is good. Lots of shells coming up towards the Gymnura. Let's see how it's doing. The rocks are firing at it as well, or one of them is. I see several explosions. Couple of hits. Well, we've damaged it a bit more, but not a ton. If we can take out these, at least one of the thrusters, then that should help us just sort of finish it off. Oh, it just sort of dumps missiles out the back, doesn't it? But something has exploded there and might be chain reacting through the ship. Yeah, I think we've detonated something big back there. I noticed this thing does use 2 custom jets, which I quite like. I love some custom jets. I think just having like one big one that runs down the center of a ship is pretty cool, or maybe like two dedicated, you know, really big thrusters. Okay, looks like whatever that chain reaction was, it has detonated through most of the enemy ship. So this thing might be going down. Maybe. Because that was a really big explosion. Which is interesting because we haven't done a lot of external damage to this thing. I mean, we've scuffed the paint, but that's about it. It honestly looked like one of our shells may have hit near one of their missiles as they were being launched, and that just sort of detonated onto the inside of the craft. Yeah, a lot of explosions now. Clearly just sort of out of control. I think we have taken it down. An awesome ship, an absolutely awesome ship. I will be making at some point a fast flyer, like a big fast flyer, because I think that's just a cool concept. But that'll be later down the line. I think the next vehicle I build will probably be a submarine, because I do love submarines, and as much as I try to stay away from missile spam, torpedoes are just some of the coolest weapons. I love torpedoes. So having a dedicated torpedo sub would be cool. Yep, I think we have ended this threat. Another nuke detonating on the Crag Lenorm. Doing a good bit of damage. That's a nice big chunk pulled off there. But again, you can see that this is really just layered and space armor here. So nothing was really taken out apart from some of the propellers. Which, honestly, things move to the Crag Lenorm. The Crag Lenorm does not move to them. Here comes the Charger again. It might hit us, or it might just... No, I think it's going to hit us. Oh, there's a big hit. Really damaging one of our main cannons, but it looks like something inside has detonated. I think it may have done that to itself, honestly. Or possibly it stripped the barrel off of one of these guns right as it was firing, and it got a nice big cannon to the underside. So I'd say that thing's probably out of the fight. You know, I thought this thing was bigger than it was. I guess I didn't see it next to anything, but yeah, it seems to be having kind of a hard time aiming at me. It might have a weird turning circle. And now the Crag Lenorm is trying desperately to fire at this fast-moving flyer. We really just need one hit, but it looks like some of our missiles are doing that job for us. Have we damaged this thing? It kind of looks damaged. Yeah, it's damaged. And it's not shooting at us, which I'm fine with. It has shields, which is interesting. It's impressive to be able to fit some, you know, enough energy for shielding on a ship that small. But they're probably pretty weak shields. Okay, here we go again. We are firing straight upwards. And it looks like my buoyancy options are working pretty well, because the Crag Lenorm is not shoving itself down into the water like it was the last time I shot directly up. Couple of hits there. Another hit. I think that may... Yep. Some internal explosions there. I think that may have dropped it. Yeah, I think we've got it. That's another thing I need to make, is a new interceptor. Because the Hippogriff would be horribly outgunned by the White Flayers. The Hippogriff being the first little flyer that we made. Okay, tell you what, let's shoot this thing. Because it's coming really close to just sort of bulldozering me. And again, just lots of space armor in here, a couple of repair bots. And yeah, I don't want to be bulldozed. The Euro Piggy? I apologize for my horrible pronunciations of so many of these things. I honestly don't know what that is referring to. What that word means, if it means anything. Ah, grenade launchers. Oh, I love thee. I love how these things can just turn and shoot a really close threat, and it's just sort of gone. Although, again, like the Earthraker, I think at this point this thing's momentum is just going to carry it into us, which is a shame. I thought our rock in the background had taken a hit, but I think that was just its cannon firing. And it went over us. It's going to do a little damage as it goes over us, but yeah, it went over us. Huh. Ramming is very, very fickle in this game. It's I have built a few rammers in the past, and it's so difficult to get it right, to get it where you want it to be, to get it to where it reliably hits something, leaves, turns around, comes back, and hits it again. And you can see that because, like, all the enemy ships that have come and rammed us, they've rammed us once, and they didn't get to come back. And that's certainly not a criticism of these designs. The White Flyer designs are probably some of the just most vicious looking in this campaign, in this game. But it's very, very difficult to make a good, reliable melee craft. Ooh, that thing just took a big hit. Looks like we've taken down... Looks like that's actually 3 fighters going down there, sort of dissolving into nothingness. And I think at this point we're just wrapping these guys up. Very pleased with how we did. Very pleased with the results of this fight. Especially when compared to the last time we poked the White Flayers. I feel like this fight went pretty well. Looks like we've knocked something out of the water there. This thing might just be too damaged. It's probably sinking. Not yet. Not yet. And we honestly have not used that many materials in this fight, which is a good thing. That's honestly one of the reasons why I changed the Kraglenorm's engine from a steam engine into a fuel engine. Because in order to power this thing, the steam engine had to burn quite a lot of materials. It burned at max like 27 materials per second, which can really, really add up. Whereas because my fuel refineries are very, very efficient, even though the Kraglenorm now burns a lot of fuel, it does have a very fuel efficient engine, or actually it has several engines. I think it's got 6 different engines, very fuel efficient engines with a very fuel efficient refinery for fuel. And that's it. Yeah, you can see this thing only used, looks like maybe 10% of its fuel, and that's without the pack rat being around to resupply it. Oh, no, actually, I'm on the rock, aren't I? Well, that's even better, because it used to be the rock really couldn't function in battle without something constantly supplying it with fuel. Let's see how the Kraglenorm did. Yeah, just about the same, actually. 10% for the Kraglenorm is quite a lot more fuel, but, well, I guess it's now getting fuel back from the rock, or from the pack rat now that it's out of the fight. But, okay, I think I'm going to call the episode here. I know that was really only just one fight, but it was a big fight, and our first real victory against the White Flayers. I'll probably do a bit more off-camera, and then come back for our next big fight. Although, actually, our next fight will be, I'll probably go through this Onyx Watch tile and then hit a strength 200, so that will probably be a fight worth showing. But, yeah, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any suggestions. Like I said, the suggestion to limit the range of the laser munition defense lasers was a really, really good suggestion that helped me out a lot. You couldn't really see it in this fight, but in testing, limiting the range, and I've limited these to 250 just as what I've found has been pretty efficient, has just worked out phenomenally. It saves so much engine power, and you know, it saves their power for shells that are actually going to come close. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you in the next episode.